This is a gentle reminder. A gentle reminder not to give it to the mind, not to give anything. When I mean anything, I mean everything. Anything that comes up, any thought, any emotion, don't entertain it with your mind. It will happen, no matter how hard you try, because we are so conditioned to do that in every single way. From school to society to, relationships to jobs. Everything makes us go back into thought. Simplicity is of critical importance to be able to fundamentally get it, to understand that you, who are watching right now, are not your thoughts. You are not your body. You're not your mind. You're not your emotions. You are none of this, actually. And that's why when people say, be yourself, no wonder we are so confused. What do you mean, be ourselves? If your thoughts are constantly changing, if the idea that you have of who you are as a person is always changing, confirm that for yourself. Like people will say, what kind of person are you? Oh, I'm a very happy person, for example. Is that really true? Is that really, really true? Have you had days where you're not so happy? Have you had days where there's been a kaleidoscope of different emotions that are coming and going? Have you had days where you're just totally lost, like you have no clue who you are? So how? How do we not give it to the mind and hence be ourselves? How do we not entertain our thoughts? Because the programming is so deep that you have become self-hypnotized. We have hypnotized ourselves. When you're thinking, when you're in the thinking mode, like every single time that you think, you are in a state of hypnosis. Because then you are not fully present and aware as just this. This is reality. This, everything and nothing. It's like a field, an invisible field. And all of the things that are appearing in this field are the field. You are the field. But the field is outside of time. This field has had no birth, it has had no death. It's timeless as a result of that. Everything that has ever existed, everything that you ever think of, everything that will ever exist is part of the field. Some call the field God. I try to stay away from words because every word carries conditioning. You were not born knowing any words, so all of the words you know are conditioned. Because of that, if I say any kind of word, you distance yourself again from the present moment because you go back into thinking and you become self-hypnotized. You detach from reality. We are all detached pretty much from reality. That's why two human beings don't see something exactly 100% the same way. There are nuances of thought and conditioning, of an emotion and everything. So going back to the principle of not giving it to the mind, how do you do that? You surrender. You observe. Immediately when you observe, you immediately surrender. You don't have to do both. In other words, they are mutually inexclusive, if you will. They work together. The minute you are observing, because you can only focus on one thing at a time. The whole idea of multitasking, you just have to observe that for yourself. If you are trying to multitask, you cannot be 100% fully focused on one thing if you're trying to do several things at once. That means you might have the ability and you might train your mind to be able to do that, whereby you can work on several things at the same time, but it is impossible to focus on several things at the same time at 100% level of reality, because that implies a cognitive duality, meaning you go back into your mind When you are multitasking, you're fully in your mind. Because that's how you create the tasks. When you surrender that, when you just observe that, you're back into reality. You're back into presence. You're back into all that has ever been, all that has ever existed. And then you're in a position of the ultimate observer. The ultimate observer is observing all of this. It's observing the body, it's observing the mind, it's observing everything. That's who you are. If you want to be yourself, you just drop everything and you just stay present with this. Whatever arises, surrender to it by observing it. Observe with detachment. The more you entertain, the more you focus on anything, it will always grow. So what is that underlying key that will allow, without too much trouble, in other words, that will allow you to just surrender? What is it that is stopping that? There is something there that keeps on bringing us back, bringing us back. Yes, part of it is the conditioning. Part of it is the support around us in the society, which believes everybody pretty much walks around. Most people walk around believing they are separate from this reality. You know, when you see that that's not true, I mean, it's so clear that that's not true. When you clearly see that, and it is in you, you are already fully awake and fully aware. That's why hypnosis is a way I kind of like to use that word. You're being self-hypnotized. Because in a way you are. If you're lost in thought, you're not fully present, are you? Yes or no? If you are lost in thought, are you fully present? Yes or no? Of course you're not. So can you, if you're lost in thought, you will never be yourself, because you will never find yourself in your thoughts. So when somebody says to you, you know, let's say you have a concert, you have a big meeting, you have a race, you have to do a presentation, you have to meet somebody, whatever it may be. What is the advice that people typically give? Hey, just be yourself. They have no idea what that means. So now you're going to go into your mind. If you are a body-mind identity, in other words, if you walk around believing that you are your body and your mind, your default mode, your MO, your modus operandi, the way you're going to function is you're going to go back to your mind. Be myself. How can I be myself? How can I be myself? Okay, now just breathe. You're just doing different exercises. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but that's not being yourself. Yourself is here already. You don't have to do anything to be yourself. That's the thing. Nothing is required of you to be yourself, because you are already fully complete and total right now. So when you try, any effort that is made will only take you away from yourself. That's why it's completely effortless and beautiful. It's already complete, it's already full, it's already total. Melt into it, sink into this understanding. If this is making no sense to you, watch the other videos, because I go much more into detail about this. So my friends, this is just a gentle reminder. Don't give it to the mind, because every moment you have the option to do that or not to do that. You know, you have that choice. You have that choice. A situation arises, we automatically want to give it to the mind. Of course, paying a bill or something, you might need to use your mind. That's for practical purposes, but there's no identity there. This mind is still doing things, but there's no identity. There's no person. There's no personal identity. So when things arise, don't resist. Resistance is the key. We will naturally resist, and that's what creates the discomfort. Suffering comes from resistance. Resistance of what we think reality should be like, of what we have conditioned to believe what things should be like, but that's just conditioning. And who is being conditioned? That's what you need to find. Who the one you think you are? Who do you think you are? Find out who you think you are. Ask yourself right now. Pause the video. Ask yourself, who am I? Who am I? Self-inquiry, introspection. Find out the false assumption that we've been led to believe in our entire lives. And when that melts away, and it's already melted, you just don't realize that. You already are total, you just don't realize that. So it's very simple. If you want to end suffering, find out who you are. If you want to end suffering, don't resist what arises. There is a cause, there is a reaction to everything that occurs, but realize all of these reactions, the more you observe with detachment, you start to see that they're all conditioned. And when you see that, it's impossible to unsee it. Be kind to yourself. Don't be so hard on yourself. This is contrary to what you've been believed to, how to operate in this life. So be kind to yourself. Allow everything to be as it is. If things become overwhelming, find a quiet place. Just sit, just drop everything. You have the power to do that. You have the power to drop absolutely everything and just to be quiet. Doesn't mean that thoughts won't still arise. The thoughts will arise, but they're arising in this emptiness. They're arising in the source. They're arising and they go away. If you start paying attention to it, if you start entertaining it, of course it's going to stay. It really is very, very simple. It wasn't until I dropped everything. It wasn't until I tried everything. I tried everything because I thought spiritual awakening was a destination. It's not a destination at all. It's nothing to do with that. That's just in your mind. Don't give it to the mind. It's here. It's open. It's here. It's right now. And that's what you are. If you need help, reach out to me. I hope you have a beautiful day. Be kind to yourself. Don't resist. And if you do resist, don't resist resistance. Bless you.